Across Europe, there are signs that the continent is preparing for the unthinkable, NBC News reports. In particular, Lithuania is preparing to mine bridges that lead to the Russian Federation. Also in the neighboring Baltic Sea, NATO ships are hunting for the shadow fleet of the Russian Federation, which is accused of cutting underwater communication cables. In addition, they want to build a large anti-missile defense system in the skies over Europe, which will be similar to Israel's Iron Dome. European governments and citizens are worried that an emboldened Kremlin could deploy its army after Ukraine. There is also widespread nervousness that the new US isolationist president has suggested he might fail to protect America's historic NATO allies if they are attacked by Russia, the article notes. Despite recently criticizing Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, US President Donald Trump has shown few signs that his stance has changed significantly. In an interview with Fox News, he noted that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenski is fighting with a much greater force and that he shouldn't have done that because we could have made a deal. He said little about NATO and Europe, but repeated his demand that European partners spend 5% of their GDP on defense, twice what NATO recommends. He also complained that the United States spent more on Ukraine's defense than Brussels. NATO should pay more. It's funny because it affects them much more. There's an ocean between us, he said. In turn, European officials have repeatedly said that Putin is preparing for a war with the West. In particular, for many, this is already happening since officials accuse Moscow of hybrid war attacks, from meddling in elections to attempts to shoot down airliners with incendiary bombs. The Europeans take this very seriously, said retired Lieutenant General Ben Hodges, the former commander of US Army Europe from 2014 to late 2017. According to him, the Eastern European countries that are closer to the Russian border know that this is real because they live there. However, those people who live in Western Europe or the United States, that is, far from the aggressor country, say, come on, this will not happen. Europe must be prepared for the most extreme military contingencies. Put simply, to prevent war, we must spend more. If we wait longer, it will cost us more, an EU official wrote in an email to NBC News when asked whether the continent was preparing for a worst-case scenario of war with Russia. The publication noted that the Baltic countries, namely Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia, are particularly vulnerable to a possible conflict with the Russian Federation. Occupied for decades by the Soviet Union, these now westernized countries are just now building a Baltic defense line, a border hundreds of miles long, studded with anti-tank ditches and pillboxes. Lithuania has already purchased stockpiles of dragon's teeth, concrete pyramids designed to stop tanks, and plans to mine its bridges to the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad, NBC News reported, citing a statement from the Lithuanian Defense Ministry. At the same time, the author of the book, Who Will Defend Europe? Awakened Russia and the Sleeping Continent, Keir Giles, believes that the problem is that countries further away still pretend that the war is something that happens to other people. Moreover, the efforts are further complicated by the political situation. Leading European parties are being challenged by populists who often mix their strong opposition to immigration with a softer and sometimes even friendly stance towards Russia. The publication notes, therefore, now the real problem is seen only by those who believe that Russia's war against Europe has already begun. Those who don't worry just don't care, Giles said.
Units of the Ukrainian Air Force, together with other components of the defense forces, have attacked warehouses for storing attack drones in the Oriol region of the Russian Federation. More than 200 Shahids have been preliminarily destroyed. This was reported by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Concrete structures where thermobaric warheads, which drones are equipped with, were stored were damaged. There is information about a strong secondary detonation. The results and extent of damage are being clarified, but it is known in advance that more than 200 Shahids will not be used against our country, the statement says. The General Staff added that combat operations against important targets involved in the destruction of Ukraine's civilian infrastructure and terrorizing the civilian population will continue. The attack of drones on a UAV warehouse in the Oriol region of the Russian Federation was responded to by the head of the Center for Countering Disinformation under the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, Alexander Kovalenko. Minus 200 shahids in the Oriol region as a result of the attack. Good work of our soldiers. This warehouse was also attacked at the end of December last year, wrote Alexander Kovalenko in his telegram.
Кросика вот она, блядь, а он говорит, а он на третьем жил. Там окна побил, а там уже ловить уже нехуй с них.
Блядь, какое нахуй тут восстановление может быть, да, мужики?
А, не, стенка не лопнувшая, блядь.
Ну, конечно, фундамент целая, стена целая, нахуй. А там это хуйня.
Ну, Алин, в основном твой подъезд пострадал с той стороны.